Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to walk through the final two bosses in Wuchang Fallen Feathers. So first and foremost, spoiler warning obviously if you don't want to see any of that content yet, but I'm going to be demonstrating a strategy, or kind of more specifically one specific spell that makes these bosses as well as kind of the rest of the endgame pretty trivial to get through. So if you are in that home stretch and kind of struggling to get through the rest of the game, hopefully this will help you out. But starting off, I'll kind of show the fight with the Dragon Emperor, which you'll find in the Burning Cave as you make your way back to the kind of the starting point of the game through the Reverent Temple. And then we'll take a look at the final boss, which is in Bow Capital, the Feathery Ambition Shengwang Shu. So if you've watched any of my previous boss guides up to this point, this one is going to be a little bit different because, as mentioned, it's primarily just going to be focused on one specific spell, which is the Echo of the Bow Magus, which, again, in my opinion, is a little bit overpowered. So I'll be demonstrating how I use that to get through these fights without too much issue at all. So with that, we'll kind of get into everything. So first off, the one caveat with this is that you do need to beat two optional bosses to get this spell. Vermilion Feathers Honglin, and then obviously Bow Magus, who you get the spell from. So if you missed those fights, they can be found in Worship Rise and Ruins by continuing past Shu Sanctum and then heading back to the area where you originally fought Commander Honglin. From there, you'll find another path that eventually ends with the boss arena for Vermilion Feathers Honglin. Completing this fight will then teleport you to the area where you'll find Bow Magus, and I do have videos for both of these fights on my channel as well if you want some help getting through those. Alright, so now taking a look at my build, I'm going to keep this pretty short and sweet as the strategy really just does kind of boil down to using the Echo of the Bow Magus spell. As you can see, it creates a barrier around you that basically just makes you invulnerable to damage while it's active. It will break after a couple hits. I'm not quite sure what the exact damage numbers of that are, but it does withstand quite a bit. And then you'll see it takes 4 Skyborn Might to use, but I'll show you how you can drop that down to 3. So basically, as long as you can get a steady supply of 3 Skyborn Might, you can just recast this over and over every time it breaks, making you invulnerable through a big majority of the fight while you put out damage. So that's kind of it. That's kind of the strategy. However, there are a couple callouts in addition to that, but I think you can kind of come up with your own build. I think a lot would work with that, honestly. So the one thing I'm not sure about is I did use this Sun Pendant, which increases the potency of spells. I'm honestly not sure if that made this stronger or withstand more damage, but I did have that active just to call that out. And then wrapping things up with just a few mentions on some specific skills that you'll probably want to incorporate into your build. The first being Fury of the Skyborn. So if you look at that description, if you're at above 50% Madness, it's going to reduce the cost of casting Echo type spells, which this is, by 1 stack. So that's what drops that 4 stack requirement to cast down to 3, which is really nice to have. Just make sure that you are above that 50% threshold. And then in terms of needles, I'm honestly not sure what would work best on the first boss, the Dragon Emperor. I didn't really have time to test it because once I realized how powerful Bow Magus was, I didn't really do a whole lot of attempts. But on the final boss, I will say that the Poise Break needle worked really well, which I'll show. So I had that equipped. And then also, again, I'm using the longsword, but if you want to use a different weapon, main thing being find abilities that, or have abilities that generate Skyborn Might while you're doing light attack combos. So for example, with the longsword, Sword Saint, and then also Sword Master will get you kind of a constant supply of Skyborn Might while you're doing light attack combos, which you can kind of just sit there and do because you have that spell active that makes you immune to damage. So kind of just swinging away, generating Skyborn Might, and then recasting Echo of the Bow Magus. But there's like if you're using an axe like Thunderous Cleave, gets you 3 stacks on the 4th attack of the light attack combo. So just making sure that you have those and using that to generate Skyborn Might. Starting off with the Dragon Emperor, on the way to the arena, there are some enemies that you can use to build up Skyborn Might if you want to go in with a spell cast ready to go. This is also one where you can call in an ally with the Bone Whistle, so I do that. And then for this one, I was still kind of on my first few attempts and I was testing things out. So this is actually my very first time using the Bow Magus spell in the game. And as you can see, I was trying out some frost damage with the Echo of the Bow Sorcerer spell. But once I got enough Skyborn Might after that to also try out Bow Magus, I quickly realized that that was kind of the route to go with. So after that activates, you can see I basically just run in and start blindly hitting him with light attack combos. Obviously, try and dodge his attacks if you can, and having that ally be a bit of a distraction helps as well, but I'm not taking any damage on the attacks he does hit me with, and that shield is still hanging in there. Either way though, I've got a full stack of Skyborn Might ready to go to recast the spell if it breaks. For this attempt, I was trying out the Feathering Needle, which I don't think really had that big of an impact, so there's probably something better to use here. But regardless, being able to just relentlessly hit him with combos is enough to break him and get in an Obliterate. And then after that, you can see I recast my Bow Mega spell and then just kind of continue to be super aggressive to finish out the rest of this phase 1. And then going into phase 2, I'll play out the full fight if you want to watch it. I'll admit it doesn't have a whole lot of style or finesse to it, but it got the job done. Again, just really kind of completely relying on the protection of that Bow Mega shield and constantly continuing to attack while, you know, kind of keeping an eye on my health and reactivating the shield when needed. Moving on to the final boss with Xuangyang Shu. Again, not much to this strategy outside just trying to keep Bow Magus constantly active. However, I did try out a few different needles and found that the Poison Needle was really effective on him. So keep an eye out on that status meter next to his health bar and you'll see that quickly fill up when I attack. But again, there's not much more to the strategy other than that, so I'll just play out the full fight if you want to watch it. And like I said, it's pretty simple and there's not much to it, but it does get the job done. So if you're struggling to finish up the game with these two bosses, give this a try and hopefully it'll help you out complete the game. So I'll leave you with that. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.